Guys, good Tuesday morning. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to Real Talk. This is an insider's guide to real estate life in the pursuit of happiness, presented by the Yes Team Realtors. We're live on the I Love CVille network. Judah Wickhauer is our director, and Quinton Beckham sitting in Keith Smith's chair. He's on vacation, the holidays, with his family on the West Coast. But this man, very talented, a Renaissance man, I've called him on this show, and he smirks. I think Quinton secretly loves it when I call him a Renaissance man, but he humbly deflects it.
I just think what you refer to as the Renaissance was the 80s.
Now that's a story for another show right there. How are you, my friend? Good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you? How was your Christmas?
It was good. It was good. It was short. It was good to recharge like you. Much like you, we work extremely hard. Some would say too hard. And having a day or two where I detach from this is rare. And it happened. And I feel ready to go, alive, ready to make 2021 the best year yet, Quinton.
I've talked to a lot of people that have said, in spite of how different it was actually kind of relaxing because they were not prepping for lots of travel and for hosting 30 people. And they had just told their kids flat out, an Amazon box is wrapping. It covers the gift. It is not labeled. So, you know, for a lot of people, this was a simpler holiday season.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Now, we are on the back stretch of the year, 2021. I'm curious of your take. You've offered it before. We have a lot of things we want to dispel on this show, things you're extremely passionate about. We want to take an outlook on the market and what's in store. I think we see maybe a tale of a Q1 and then the rest of the year, but I'm curious of your take. I think the first thing you want to talk about is selling a home, renting a home, and then buying and dispelling this notion.
You've said something, and much like Baptist ministers, you sound really convinced of it. And so I just want to dispel that myth. I also brought my favorite Christmas present.
Oh, yes! No. This generous gentleman.
No, not that.
Oh, he gave me this.
The Christmas present I received, and I don't know if anybody can see us yet because I'm not paying attention to that.
Okay.
This, from a friend who knows me very, very dearly.
That is awesome, dude. When you're dead inside, but it's Christmas. You got that on screen, J-Dubs?
My absolute favorite this year really captures my essence. I don't know if you can tell because there's no flesh, but I'm smiling.
Oh, you look great. Better than ever. Wrapped in Christmas lights. And Quinton, the bourbon aficionado, gave me a bottle of bourbon as a Christmas present. He's very generous. I had not heard of the brand, but I know Quinton Beckham well enough that if he's gifting this, then it's high quality because the man has champagne taste.
Well, it's one that I think you should try. I'm also trying to make sure that when I come to this office, there's things for me to drink.
I offered right now.
So it's a shared gift.
I offered right now, and for the first time in my tenure of knowing Quinton Beckham, he passed on a beverage.
Well, people are beginning to think that you're an alcoholic.
Because I'm getting bourbon on
I'm
the
just
show.
trying to protect you.
Thank you, Quinton. Thank you, Quinton.
Not that we don't have a special place in our heart for people that drink at odd hours. And yes, Keith, it is a new-ish jacket.
Yeah, look at Quinton Beckham in his jacket.
Keith in the comments was talking about the new jacket. I ordered a couple jackets specifically for the car presidency, and they're kind of nice. So
Quinton Beckham, you're flossing, dude. You're looking sharp. I sincerely mean that. I mean, that looks like a very nice jacket, my friend.
It's very comfortable. Benjamin Marks, who's at Alton Lane, put it all together for me.
Yeah, the guy
did
with
a really
the beard.
good job. And much like the sweatshirt, I'm sure you can't see.
I love it. Oh, you picked the pattern.
Is skulls and surfboards.
You see that, guys? The lining of his jacket is skulls and surfboards. What if he stands up and he opens his jacket? Will people be able to see it?
This is so I can be respectable on the outside, but still be me on the inside.
Okay. He's given me, make sure, because we want to hear you to talk in the mic here. You're looking sharp, very sharp here. And dude, Alton Lane, you get the beverage while you're waiting there.
Yeah, they will totally take care of you.
Right? Yeah.
Great guy, look him up.
So my friend, a lot you want to cover on today's show. Well, the inventory pinch is a real pinch. And we've bantered on this network before that perhaps you could consider selling your house and finding a stopgap for a 6-month or a 1-year lease as a rental, and then buying as the inventory becomes more robust.
Yeah, you've said that a couple times while I was watching the show, and I just have a lot of sensation about that. And I was not fast enough on the keyboard to get everything out, and I feel it's important that I get to say everything. So I wanted to bring this up today.
So
This
that's why we
provided
said
a
Keith
great
to the West Coast.
opportunity. Keith's at the West Coast. I'm unclear how he gets a vacation, and I'm here. But there it is. Just one more Christmas miracle. So you have mentioned, like, what if they sell a house high, rent for a year or two, and then buy low?
Yeah.
And I just want to tell you what an incredibly bad idea that is. and nobody should ever say that to somebody with their personal home. And the reason being is when you think about that, you're treating your house like a commodity.
Sure.
People that don't know what a commodity is,
Yeah.
it's things that you can buy and sell in futures. They're physical things. You can hold them, put them
Sure.
in a barrel, gold, oil, lithium, silver, things that are actual products that no matter where they come from, they're probably 95% the same.
Yeah.
And it's a predictive price
Sure.
based on the demand.
Most of the time.
Most of the
Most of the time.
And I shot some slides over to Judah that expresses this poorly, but we'll get to those in a minute. So
them on screen.
your home, yeah, it is sort of a real thing. They are somewhat similar if you're in a particular neighborhood, so it kind of meets that. The difference is if the commodity goes away, you're not homeless.
Uh-huh.
And it's a bigger risk. We were talking about lottery tickets. I think the current prize after taxes in Virginia, you would walk away with about $195 million.
Okay.
Unless somebody won it in the recent past and I haven't noticed. But spending $1 is, with the odds being 250 million against 1 to win, doesn't feel so bad, because if you lose that $1, you still go home and you eat dinner.
Uh-huh.
Spending or betting 350 grand against a 100 grand gain, from which you would have to subtract the rent, is kind of a bad take. I also think as you look at how life has moved forward, our home needs to be our home.
Uh-huh.
If you have a second home, if you have a commercial building, we can talk about that separately.
Sure.
But the place where you live
Uh-huh.
needs to be your home. It needs to be where the community is. And how you use it and how it affects your life is a much more important thing than whether you can flip it over the course of 2 years and make 100 grand.
Devil's Advocate, talk show. Devil's Advocate for you for the sake of talk show. Christopher Eagle, welcome to the broadcast. Andre Xavier, hello. Jump in and offer your perspective in the stream, guys. Devil's Advocate for the sake of a talk show for you. Inventory at pinch levels have we seen inventory at these levels? When's the last time we've seen inventory this pinch before in Central Virginia?
I don't know that I've ever seen inventory this low before,
Okay.
but
And how long you been in the game?
oh gosh, since before you were born, most likely. But that's not the point. So
Well, go ahead.
that's not the point.
Okay.
So here's the thing.
Yeah.
It is great psychology, because we like to form patterns. That's
Sure.
what the human brain does. To take things like your statement and say that this time, that means that I can sell my house like a commodity.
Well, is that what you thought I was going to do there?
No, but that's the impression you're leaving.
Right.
And so
I like this. I like this for the talk show, and I can see people like this. Okay, so I'm gonna play devil's advocate for you here. We have inventory at pinch levels that you have never seen before in this area, and you're a pros pro. Okay, that's safe to say. He's never seen inventory at this level ever, and he's a pros pro. Second, we know that consumer confidence is going to uptick the inventory because people are going to be more willing to sell their house next year. What if you're able to get a 6-month stopgap, sell now at a premium, and when more inventory comes on the market, I'm thinking
for this,
February, March, right?
before we were online, I asked you if you bought lottery tickets, and you said no. Why?
Because of what your response was. I think it's a fool's play.
Because the odds are bad.
Yeah. I don't do stupid things with my money.
Because the odds are bad.
Yeah.
The odds of you having more money at the end of your life in a home when you leave it for a compelling personal reason are super good.
Okay, I'm with you.
The odds of you making money off of your home when you use it like a commodity and it's your personal residence are not that much better than that buck lottery ticket.
Okay, I'm with that.
So there are rare people,
I'm with everything you said.
there are rare instances and rare people that manage to make that work. But from the standpoint of us being trusted counselors, helping realtors,
Yeah.
and helping people with what is, for most people, their biggest personal financial investment ever,
Absolutely.
it's a bad idea. it's a bad idea to bet your home, not a house, not a property, your home.
Memories, love, family,
The
et cetera.
place where you work nowadays.
Sure.
Raise your kids and fix your meals.
Yeah.
To bet that against the idea that you know what the market's going to be like in 6 months, 12 months, 18 months.
Yeah.
All of the things that create the volatility that makes this possible make it unpredictable.
I think that's a very fair statement. And my counter to that is, and this is great, compelling, engaging material, and my counter to that would be this. Today's times, and you know I'm an entrepreneur, you're an entrepreneur, so by nature we're more risk takers, right? Because we're entrepreneurs. I say today's times are such that it's such an anomaly that the return is more tangible than ever, and the risk profile is not as steep as other markets. Because we both know, and just common sense would say, that more inventory is going to come on the market in 6 months. It has to. It can't get worse than it is now. And if more inventory comes on the market in 6 months, when this vaccine comes out, that should impact price point. Price point should stabilize. Right now, price point is not stable.
Well, and we think about housing and supply and demand like
Yeah.
we do gasoline, and that's a bad idea.
You don't think that way?
No.
No?
Because they're not the same thing. If I cannot get the house I want, I have an option to divert my demand. There is nothing else to put in your car to run it except gasoline. There are factories that have no alternative. There is a demand market that is necessary in the same way people pay their water bill, because you have to pay your water bill because you must have water, and if you do not, you're in a bad state. So I think the equations don't play out the same. So I do have an alternative to divert demand. I do think 21 is going to be better.
Yeah.
There's
From
a lot
inventory.
of reasons from an inventory standpoint,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of reasons for that. And if it's not better, it's not the thing that makes it worse is not going to be the inventory.
Right. I agree 100% with what you said.
Yeah.
Caitlin Mancini, welcome to the broadcast. Agents watching the program, what's your take? What is your take on the conversation here? 2021, we're talking about the outlook. We're talking about the potential mindset of selling now at a premium because inventory is low, stopgap rental, which he's vehemently opposed to, of 6 to 12 months, and then buying something as inventory comes on the market. One of the reasons I like that idea, Quinton, frankly, is I also, let's cut to the chase. We're all on the supply chain that is your business. I'm on the supply chain that is your business. You know, and you dudes and dudettes do not do business if you don't have something to sell.
This is true, and I believe that there is going to be something to sell. I believe that my first responsibility is to be honest to somebody that's a client or that's watching the show. And in all honesty, I think it's always a bad idea to make this sort of gamble with the place where you live.
Kelly Jackson, and I'm not going to say where you live, Kelly, but she's got a big-time property on the south side of town. You know where she lives?
I do not,
She
but
says,
I'm
my
reading
house
her
is always
comment.
for sale for the right price. So she's an entrepreneur. I feel the same way. My wife, who's watching the show, says would disagree.
Yeah.
You know, my house is for sale for the right price. That's how I feel.
What does your wife like to drink? I'm bringing the wrong person gifts.
She actually loves beer. She loves Ghost from Three Notch.
Really?
Yeah, that's her.
Interesting.
She drinks that. That's her cup of tea.
Interesting.
She's Irish.
I know almost nothing about beer.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. When we get on the other side of this, have you been out yet? Have you been inside?
That's such a loaded question.
Have you been
What are we
inside
talking about?
cocktails inside at a bar?
Not sitting at the bar, but
Okay.
yes.
Inside.
Yes.
Okay.
Judiciously, only certain places with certain people.
Understood.
But yes.
Understood. I mean, can you not wait till we can do that again?
Oh, that'll be lovely.
Like go to the milkman at Dairy Market?
That'll be lovely. Don't be deceived that the world's going to return to exactly how it used to be, though.
What's your? I'm sure you have a take on this. What's your take on that? What do you mean by that?
I think that's a different conversation. If you want to sell your house as a commodity, don't do it. And if you don't know why you don't want to do it, I have slides and information to send you. You just stick your email in that chat, and I'll convince you of this. Secondly,
I mean, quick.
and yes, certain houses are always for sale for the right price.
Mine. Kelly's?
Yes.
Yours?
But if you're really in love with your house and you get the right price for it, the odds of getting a replacement for what your right purchase price is are probably pretty low.
I disagree with that. You can make memories and love and happiness anywhere. It's the people. It's not the drywall, the bricks, and the roof.
Yeah.
You disagree?
I do disagree, and Andre agrees with me, which means I win. So, thank you, Andre.
Shannon Jackson says, "I like this guy, Jerry. I like this guy." Shannon is in my age bracket, and she went to Waynesboro, right, Shannon? And she's got a massive property with a pool and a lot of acreage and a very beautiful home, and she has a commute that she says is very manageable. Mm-hmm. Dude, my age group is freaking sprinting there.
I think it's great. I do believe we always talk about location.
Yeah.
That's still true. It's just not where it used to be. That bullseye has moved a little bit. So the ability to get what we want now has changed. So I enjoy going out places. I enjoy meeting friends, hanging out, happy hours. That's not going to happen anymore. So the fact that I am 2 blocks from what was my favorite bar is no longer relevant to the location of where I live.
Touché.
This is an example.
Yeah.
And so I do believe location matters, but now instead of mattering for the things that surround it, and sometimes it's mattering for the property itself. What can my dollar get me, and what do I need to be super happy at home? So if you're looking at...
Thank you for sharing, Ray Cadell. He shared. Mena Spagoni, welcome to the broadcast. Dude, you're blowing up right now. People like you here. Keep going.
So I think when we talk about 21, things that I think will help us and things I think we should pay attention to, just whether you're a realtor or not. One, the number of new home permits in the last half of this year were higher than they were the year before. And so you're going to see those start rolling out. It takes about 7 months from permit to being able to get a certificate of occupancy if people are really banging it out. And so in spite of lack of labor and lumber costs and all of the things that are making it difficult, we are going to see a lot of new homes open up.
New permits for specs or homes under contract for buyers already?
Specs.
Okay, so new fresh inventory.
New fresh inventory.
Okay.
So you're going to see some of that open up. You're still going to have all of the people that must move for a personal compelling reason.
Sure.
And then you're going to also have people that are allowed to move because they no longer have to live in proximity to their job.
Of course.
And although there's some of that will roll back, there's a great portion of it that's not going away even when the vaccines are distributed and COVID is a bad memory.
Agreed.
So I think as you see all of this open up, now the geography I'm able to buy in, if I'm Shannon, is bigger. Suddenly where I live ceases to be such a controlling point. So not only are mortgage rates low, but I can move away from the places I've been priced out of.
Epicenters of employment.
Yeah, they're no longer epicenters of employment.
That's right.
They're epicenters of internet access.
Internet is creating the democratization in some ways of housing, because with being able to work from an ISP anywhere, we're not tied to 10.2 square miles. We can get a farm in Nelson County that otherwise we could not get, especially with them rolling out fiber. I agree 100% with you. That's why we're seeing Fluvanna, Nelco, Waynesboro. That's why we're seeing them blow up.
Well, and if you look back through studies on affordable housing and social equity, a lot of what limits affordable housing and social equity and promotes some of the segregation that we see has to do with public transportation.
Of course.
So you're stuck in an area out here, which means you don't have reliable transportation to get where the high-paying jobs are. So transportation becomes the issue. Broadband is the next thing that's going to sit beside that now. So broadband inequities are going to be a thing that you see coming to much more of a head.
Agreed.
Than what we've talked to before, because
I'm so passionate about this.
Education, access to jobs, just the ability to apply for a job and do your banking is all tied to how quickly
your internet works.
Packets of data move in and out of your house.
Yeah.
I live alone, so there's no competition.
Sure.
There's a friend of mine, we play board games online, and so there's Zoom and Steam going, and there's 5 of us playing games. But he has children, and when they're all on the Wi-Fi at the same time, he will drop out from time to time. These are the things that are going to start making the difference about the locations, not the fact that you can walk next door to the market.
I 1,000% agree with this man. It's a public utility. It's like running water. And it's not emphasized enough. Would we not make a big deal if a family didn't have reliable and safe to drink water in their home? We would freak the hell out. The fact that we have families in Charlottesville, in the city, that have to go to a hotspot for their son or daughter to download their curriculum to a computer and then being able to go back to their house to work, that's bogus. I agree 1,000% with you.
And a study from last year that I read in preparation for today, in fact, 1 out of 9 public school students have zero internet at home.
Right.
And I don't just mean bad internet. They have zero
Right.
internet. And so that's going to be something that we need to address as we move forward that sort of ties hand in hand with affordable housing.
Amen, brother. And you 100% agree with everything you said. And that, the reliability with broadband is what is creating, in part, this popularity push of Nelson County. We have Jesse Rutherford on this show, Board of Supervisors, and he straight up says on this network, Quinton, that this area is going to go gangbusters. You're seeing that with Waynesboro, you're seeing it with Fluvanna County. To tie this back into real estate, how do you see as internet becomes more ubiquitous and reliable, which is going to push people away from the epicenter of employment, take here, Charlottesville, and it's going to create Central Virginia and basically spreading to Northern Virginia and Richmond as people move away from Charlottesville. How do you see that impacting, say, Charlottesville's real estate market?
I think that you were able to do a lot of trade-offs that you couldn't do before. And Kelly, in her question, sort of started touching on this. The kinds of places we need to live are directly related to how we want to live and the services that surround us. And that is becoming less important than the place we live. So when I first moved here, I lived in a loft apartment above the Southern.
Nice.
Because coming from where I came... Rented. Because I wanted to be a place where I could move. I wanted to be a place where I could walk out the front door and there would always be people and things to walk through and do. And that was great, but it was small. I would be pulling my hair out today if I were in that same spot because there's walking out the door doesn't provide the same sort of stuff.
Would you be pulling your hair out today because of COVID or because that is not what you want now anymore?
Because of COVID.
Because of COVID. Okay.
Now, I moved for other reasons, but if I were still there today, that would be a problem.
Yeah.
So when you look at what we're looking for in the future, if I am a young couple, let's say 4 people in a household, 2 kids, a 3-bedroom house is probably not big enough because there's not a space for the kids to do school.
Sure.
That's not the dining room table. There's not a space for me to do the office. Is there good outdoor space? Is there a deck? I think pools are going to become more important. Things that...
Dude, I think the neighborhoods with country clubs are going to blow up.
Things that connect us to the outdoors without taking those added risks. So we're creating social environments and a lot of environments that were created for us in our home. Schooling, work, and that ability to have a space for each one of those so that when you walk out of your office, you're now in a different sort of state of mind.
Sure.
And so you can't have your office be on your coffee table or your dining room table all the time anymore. It's been fine when we were thinking it was temporary, but for a lot of people that ceased to be the case.
Well, then I asked you this question, and we didn't have time to go down this road big time. What is going to happen then to the inventory? Let's localize it to Charlottesville. Okay, or in Central Virginia. What is going to happen to the inventory that is that 1,200, 1,300 square foot rancher? Is that inventory going to get knocked down, or is it going to get remodeled and expanded?
I'm going to pivot on you just a little bit. I think there's always going to be a market for that sort of thing. It's
gotten smaller.
If you go, there's multiple listings, and there's multiple listings near downtown that are the 1,200 foot Belmont home 4 blocks from downtown that are $400 a square foot. There's still going to be people that want them. They're just not going to want them for $400 a square foot.
Go ahead. Go on.
I think as you see the demand shift, the price will follow. Now, unlike things that are commodities...
You're saying it's going to go down?
I wouldn't be surprised. How many people...
That almost gets categorized in some ways, and it's not, but I think you guys understand what I'm saying here. It almost gets categorized in some ways with the attached property, something that's small, because it's limited with what you can do. Granted, you have a backyard, a front yard, and maybe a place to park a car.
So the place I live in is 1,200 square feet. It's probably 300 square feet more than I need.
Okay.
And I've discovered that things just pile up in that extra room that I barely spend any time in. So there'll always be people like me. We're always going to go for those things. It's got a place for me to park a car. It's got a back deck that I look at out the back door every now and again. And a good-sized kitchen. I'm perfectly content. It's too small for people to come stay with me, also a bonus in my life, and big enough that I have a separate office so work stays in its own space. But most people are not me. And certainly as you look at the trends of when people enter their phase of home buying,
It's later.
the generations that are entering their home buying years now, that would not work for them. These are people that are starting families, that are accelerating their professional careers, that are being very, very social in a way that I don't need to do anymore.
Sure.
And so that space wouldn't work for them. I'm not saying it'll ever go away. There's always going to be people like me. You just won't have 9 offers anymore. And I think as we move forward, I'm really not concerned about the real estate market. We're going to keep doing just fine in 2021. We're going to have hurdles to get over, some of them that we recognize and saw coming, and some that catch us off guard probably. But we're a pretty flexible group. This is not the crash that's going to be repeated. And we're going to have to continue to be flexible as jobs and how they happen shift. We're still at about a 5% unemployment rate last time I looked. And there's not an expectation for us to be back to our pre-COVID employment in 2021. Jobs are going to continue to grow, but there's still that subset of jobs that are not coming back at a pace we would like. And so we're going to have to watch how that shifts. Where do those people go? What kind of jobs do they have? And how does that affect the market? If there's anything that really we do need to watch out for, we have a lot of folks that have been renting that have not been able to keep up.
With rent payments.
With rent payments.
Yeah.
That fortunately have not been evicted, but at some point the eviction moratoriums will expire.
Sure.
Or the landlords just simply won't be able to continue that any longer.
Right.
The other reason you shouldn't rent, because it does you no good to get great rent in a building that is foreclosed on. So as you move through this continuum, we're going to see that population need to shift or something need to give. And I don't know that anybody's got a really good handle on what that looks like.
Let's welcome some of the folks watching. Kelly Jackson's got some questions for you about design trends. Kelly, I bet your house is super deluxe from a design standpoint. You got good taste, lady. But she says, what are the best design trends? Open concept versus traditional. What are so must-haves for people looking to buy home office land, more square feet? That's a good topic to hit. Shannon says Waynesboro is surprisingly great, especially if folks like the outdoors. She also has given you props. Andre says never gamble with your primary residence. No one knows the future of real estate. Keefe says by 2023, all of Nelson County and Fluvanna County will have broadband. James Watson, what impact does Quinton foresee Apex, Dexcom, Code, Co-Construct, and other companies that are going to bring a few thousand people here in the next 2 years with good paying jobs? That's a great topic. Freaking love James Watson. I want your take on that. I'll give a little background for the viewers and then get your take on it. Market Dairy Central is going to be home to Dexcom, publicly traded company. We're talking people coming here making bank. Joffrey Woodruff, he's in that building across the way at QIM, bought the Ice Park and is going to do the Center of Developing Entrepreneurs. It's going to hire, I think the number was 100 or so new people. Co-construct eventually when they come downtown. We don't know when that's going to happen, especially with them working from home. Long story short, new employees, high-paying jobs come to the area. They need a place to live, and they're going to scoop up some property, especially when they're coming from places outside of Charlottesville where that real estate is probably more expensive than it is here. Your thoughts on how that impacts the market?
Well, we would hope they're coming from that kind of market, but
they probably are.
Let's not guarantee that.
With companies like that, Quinton? They're not working in Idaho with companies like that. They're working in
No, but they could now.
You're right. With the internet, they could. You're right.
They could now.
Yeah.
We have I think we're having the same conversation we had pre-COVID when we talked about dairy market and its leasing. I don't think any of that changes. They're going to move in. There's going to be housing available. It's going to drive up prices. It's going to be something that we have to adjust to as the market goes along. I don't think when you look at the total number of people in this area, the way that the bullseye has gotten bigger in terms of where you can live and be happy, that's going to be an enormous impact on us. I think what you're going to hear more and more about that is what it did to parking. And is there enough parking in the code building? And what about that building they want to build? And, I hear that over and over and over. I've been to the sites. They all look good.
Yeah.
I've been into Dairy Market. I had a drink at, was it the Milkman?
Yeah, the Milkman's bar.
The Milkman bar.
Yeah.
They do a lot of dairy and alcohol, which I don't understand, but it makes sense with their name. There's space for them in our market. I think when you talk about we're talking about a K-shaped recovery, right? So if you're down at this end of the economic spectrum, you're doing okay. And if you're up at this end, you're doing okay. The jobs you're talking about are up at this end.
Yeah.
And they're doing okay, and so is their real estate market. There's going to be opportunity for them to both purchase and sell, and it's going to be fine. Where we have to, as an association and as a group that is concerned about our community, where we have to watch is that space in the middle. And so I don't disagree with anything you're saying. I just don't worry about it. These are going to be people with options, and I think a lot of folks, when they come in, there will be those that move directly into homes they purchase. There's also going to be a lot of people that rent. And I think as we move through time and we see some of these things roll out with renters who have not been able to make payments and with landlords that do have to switch, there's going to be opportunities for them as well.
This question coming in, where Quinton brings up the building permits. Did you say it was 700?
So, hold please.
And the question is for you are these building permits in one area? I mean, is this part of this, the Brook Hill development?
Brook Hill is part of it. So,
Brook Hill is north of town, guys. Is it off Polo Grounds or Profit?
The last half of 2020 in the Commonwealth, permits increased over the first half and the last half of 2019. And I want to say it was somewhere around 33,700 permits that were filed. Those aren't necessarily individual residents. Those can be developments, and it's across the entire Commonwealth. So it's not necessarily in Charlottesville, but we're still seeing more permits roll out. We're still seeing more applications happen.
Do we know the building permits in the Central Virginia region?
I don't off the top of my head, no.
Okay. Could one of the agents do that in Paragon?
No.
Okay. You can't do that in Paragon?
Well, no, because what you're seeing then is stuff that's already permitted.
Understood.
Yeah.
Okay. So you want to throw any perspective to answer the question of where the building is going to happen? Where the question is it going to be aggregated in one spot like a new neighborhood?
Well, I think it's going to continue to do all the things that we've been talking about on this show for 2 years now. There is a push away from the center of Charlottesville because of affordability. Add to that the opportunity to do more things away from Charlottesville because of broadband, because of work from home, and because the attraction to downtown and some of these spaces, at least for the rest of this coming year, is going to be less because you can't go do the things you want to do. And so I think it's everything we've always said, just more. So if I am a developer... It's
so unfortunate, but he's so right about that. The appeal of being downtown and around downtown and walking around downtown just does not have the same sex appeal it had 2 years ago. He's totally right. And it's not because it's a knock on downtown. It's the impact COVID has had on downtown.
No, we're in a transition period. You have to think of it as, if you've ever raised children, there's this period where they enter puberty where you just don't even want to see them. They are unruly, terrible, and out of control of their own lives.
Is that 2 to 3? Because I'm going through that right now. My kid's almost 3.
Oh, you just wait.
Okay, all right, QB.
You just wait.
Okay, QB.
You'll be needing to up your bourbon stock. But it comes out on the other side as this grown-up that you can actually carry on a conversation with. We're in that period in this downtown market. So there's going to be a lot of shift and transition, and it's going to come out the other side, and it's going to be okay. In the meantime, it's probably not your favorite place in the world.
Elena Mangioni's watching. What's up, Elena?
Elena.
We were talking about bourbon collections before the show, and we know
Oh my
yours is
gosh.
bona fide. Yeah.
Elena's husband just brought home a really good collection, and he promised that he would share it with me, and I need to make that date.
Ooh, man about town over here. James says, I think the new jobs will further push the unaffordability status, and it will be common to see homes get demolished in the city of Charlottesville, just like it happened in Northern Virginia. I wonder if that's going to happen too. I honestly, and I'm going to throw this out there, I honestly think with that 10th and Page neighborhood, you know the colorful houses right there? Those colorful houses are what, $500,000 homes right there? I honestly think we're going to see that 10th and Page neighborhood be demolished and new construction be put there.
So when you're talking about the row of colorful houses, I lived in one of those my first time
Really?
around.
Those are cool.
Yeah. They're oddly laid out, but they're good houses for downtown living, close to UVA, close to downtown. There was a lot of walkability. I hope we don't see 10th and Page get demolished. On the other hand, we have some pressure with the amount of homes that we need to have here and the way the zoning ordinances work.
Yeah.
I don't know that I have a strong feeling one way or the other on that. I am interested in seeing a path forward that leads to actual affordable housing, and that's a complicated discussion, certainly not one I feel competent in. I'm a lot better at knowing what doesn't work than I am knowing what works for that.
Sure. I mean, Quinton, I see. How do you feel the 2021? We get to a vaccine. Do you think the market is going to feel more comfortable to put their homes on the market? I mean, is that what it's going to come down to? Is the shot gets everywhere, we get this vaccine, and people say, okay, now's the time to list. Ray Cadell watching the program. My wife and I thought about selling our house now and renting and buying later, then we changed our mind. He sees the premium that people can get. What is it going to take for us to get more houses on the market?
You have to build them. I do think you'll see some loosening as people become more comfortable, not really with selling their house, but the purchase on the other side. So the issue is not selling the house you're in, it's where you're going to go.
Of course.
And there's not a lot of choices. And if you're wanting to stay in the same area, everything that favors you when you sell your house works against you when you go to buy the one that you're moving to. And so you have to remember that. You're climbing back up the same hill that you slid down. So you have to bear all of that in mind. If in the case of somebody like Ray, whose house I've never been to, I'm just pointing out, Ray, I've never had an invite.
He's invited me once, and I missed the party, Ray. It's got a great house. I mean, it's got a pool.
And I think I would have a good time with Ray.
Me too, dude. That dude gets down.
I think it depends on where you're at in life. I keep going back to you need a compelling reason. So if you're giving up a house that is this kind of product over here to purchase a house that's this kind of product, yes, there can be some beneficial transitions in there, but there has to be some sort of compelling personal reason to give up the home you're living in, or I'm against it.
Do you see soft spots in the market? Soft spots in 2021? Soft neighborhoods?
Define a soft spot.
I mean, is the attached market been more soft or vulnerable than it is now? And this is from a guy with Amanda Spagoni's watching the program. I lived next to her sister, Laura Spagoni, at the Villas at Southern Ridge for 7 years. It's a rental property here. I mean, it's now a rental property. Is the attached market more soft or vulnerable than it's ever been?
Well, let's define that. If you're talking about a row of townhouses where I have a yard in the back and a place to park, not at all. In fact, there's probably even more need for that because as this K-shaped recovery rolls out, you're going to need to push people in the middle somewhere.
Sure.
We have the missing middle that is still missing, but a broader middle as we move into 21. And so I don't believe that those are going to go away. If you're talking about condominiums, I think those split into two categories. You have super luxury condominiums that will still sell because they're going to come built in with enough amenities to be attractive. And then you have other condominiums that I think are going to have a harder time.
I agree.
I loved living above the Southern. Thinking of moving back there, like if I were moving right now and moving back there, all of the things that attracted me to it before, that dial has just been dialed down too far. I wouldn't do it again.
Do you think that impacts the Belmont North Downtown market? With the appeal and the dude, and let's cut to the chase. We walk downtown. We love downtown. We love being out. We love the restaurants. You walk from the ice park to the pavilion. You see empty storefronts everywhere. That's fair, right? Mm-hmm. Empty storefronts everywhere. Does that impact Belmont North Downtown?
I don't think so greatly. Just because we've had so much pent up buyer demand for a couple years now. It's going to take us a while to burn through that. Now, we burned through the easy stuff this summer. People that were just sitting ready to go, papers in hand, realtor in pocket, watching the internet. So we burned through some of that, but there's a big, long line of people wanting to be homeowners. And I hope that through the course of that, we find a way to tag in affordable housing. So the people that don't just want to be a homeowner, but really need to be, we also wrap into that group. There's so many people that would rather be homeowners than be renting, would rather be closer to their job, or now don't need to be. I don't see anybody that lists their home having a problem selling it.
Yeah, I agree.
And I would encourage every developer, go to town.
This is a good comment right there, and this is something you're passionate about it. This gentleman watches the program routinely, and this is coming in on Twitter from Matthew Gillikin. Ask Quinton about the historically African-American neighborhoods in Charlottesville and how they could be gentrified if we don't figure out this inventory pitch. And he's speaking specifically 10th and Page, CVille, and Prospect. That is a good topic.
That is a good topic. Probably not one I'm prepared to answer equitably. And Matthew, I know you invest a lot of time in this. And didn't you get your vaccine, Matthew?
Front line.
Was that today?
No,
or last week?
That was last week.
Was that last week?
Last week, yeah.
Good for you. Congratulations. We were talking about this before the show started.
More questions for you.
Affordable housing is a very complex topic. And I do think there are ways to create more housing that is affordable, that increases property values without displacing the current residents. That requires a lot of things coming together all at once.
Sure.
And smarter people than me, and forgive me, Matthew, but probably smarter than you too, at coordinating that in such a fashion that it is successful. I've seen lots of efforts across the country that I've read about, that I've watched, that have been pretty successful, but nobody that's ever really pulled it off perfectly.
Okay, well, let's do a conversation for the sake of a talk show here. You see 10th and Page, you see CVille, and you see Prospect. Mm-hmm. All in city limits, all probably your entry price point for single-family detached, right? All homes that are going to need some TLC. Mm-hmm. From my standpoint, and you're the pro, I'm just a layman, I learn from you. From my standpoint, I see those three neighborhoods looking extremely different 5-10 years from now. And I see the demand that's happening from the lack of inventory, that demand trickling there for folks that want to stay in the city. And once Market and Central are done, Chris Henry's project, that whole neighborhood's going to be complete. Shannon Worrell's family, Shannon Worrell of the Daily Progress, the Worrell family, she developed that whole Coca-Cola strip. I mean, if you go, those apartments above Mud House and Peloton Station, Quinton, those are fantastic.
You have a lot of competing interests in this. So how do I take a 10th and Page neighborhood as an example?
Yeah.
And I'm not necessarily speaking of them specifically, but how do I take them, create more housing, raise the value of those homes, and not displace people that are in them on fixed income?
You can't. You can't do that.
And so there's a lot of competing interests that go on, and at some point we have to choose.
But we don't get to choose. The market chooses for us.
Not always. At some point we have to choose. The market's going to be the market, and whether the market's doing well or doing poorly expands or diminishes the options and your ability to choose. But it doesn't take away your choice.
The market is, I feel like, in sake of a talk show, I think the market is going to choose, say, 10th and Page. We're talking postage stamp size lots, probably 0.1, 0.2 or less, right? I think the market is going to choose 0.1, 0.2, the land more valuable than the structure, house knocked down, new construction on the property, new construction on the plot of land. And I think 5 to 10 years from now, those colorful houses on 10th Street are going to be 100 as opposed to what? 8, 7, 6?
I don't know.
You don't think so?
It's a very complicated prospect. We take people that are living, let's suppose you're living on your 0.5 acre lot. You've been on a fixed income for a while, you're older, and somebody offers you a 6-digit number cash to take your house that needs some work off your hands.
You're going to take the money.
Frequently, you would take the money.
Yeah.
But then where does that person go? It's the absolute terrible odds of the same conversation we were having about people that were in a better circumstance. And so I think we have to have a really clear idea of how to promote more housing with zoning, with better proffers, and with better affordable housing standards.
I agree.
So that both those things can live together. And I'm not saying I have the answer for that. So please, anybody that's listening, I am on no soapbox here.
Sure.
But he
is in a position of influence. He's the president of CAR, for those that don't know.
Well,
he is in a position of influence.
But it is still me.
Yeah, yeah, I know that. I know. You're not speaking as president. You're speaking as Quinton. I get it.
That is true.
Yeah.
There is, I believe that there has to be a way to make those things live side by side. I've watched lots of projects work their way out that have certainly improved neighborhoods, but some of the original residents always seem to pay somehow. And there's got to be a way to make those things live together, at least to the 90% mark, where we're doing really good things for the neighborhoods as a whole. Habitat's done some great work. They've got a project going on 5th Street.
Yep, Kelly said that.
I live around from Sunset Park, where I think they've done some really good things. There's the Land Trust, which has done a lot to create affordable housing. PHA's done a lot of work to get people into homes. I think when we look at this spectrum of things, it's hard to talk about affordable housing in snippets because you have to also talk about all the things that led to the people that can't get to affordable. Affordable means different things.
Of course, to different people.
Who we're talking about.
Sure. Of course. Keith Smith's watching on the West Coast. The Land Trust and Piedmont Housing Partnership will help solve this. How, you ask? And
actually, I'm not sure I asked that. But
this is good. You're good in this format, Quinton. You're really good in this format. I will throw this to you. It's an important discussion we're having here. You got 10.2 square miles in a city. I've seen the affordable housing conversation happen for freaking years. I mean, I'm seeing developers choosing to allocate money to an affordable housing fund as opposed to do it in on-site because that's just the easiest path to victory.
So I think the affordable housing conversation is something that always has to happen because we have the conversation when the market's here.
I hate to say this.
And it takes so long that now the market's here.
I hate to say this. I think the affordable housing is not going to happen in the city of Charlottesville. I think affordable housing, I hate to say this, affordable housing is going to be Fluvanna, Greene, Nelson, and Waynesboro. And it's just not going to happen in the city of Charlottesville or Albemarle County. Albemarle County is limiting the development so much it can't happen. City of Charlottesville, we don't have enough land. Well,
it is a strange outline, the city of Charlottesville. It's like a drunk blind goat in the middle of a moonless night drew the lines that define the city. I don't know. I don't believe it's impossible in the city. I believe that how you get to that requires multiple partners and multiple stakeholders making a decision to get there and bringing all of those points together. We have so many great groups in the city, both government to quasi-government to nonprofit to individuals. We have a lot of great groups, but no one group is going to hold the solution. We've mentioned before, there's no silver bullet, it's silver buckshot.
Oh, Keith loves hearing that right there.
He does. He likes it when I quote him. I think that is even more so true for this. And in the meantime, there's a subset of our population that is always going to rent that is their life and lifestyle and where they're at in life, and we need to not push them out as we move through affordable housing. And how you make all those things come together is something we couldn't cover in an hour on this, in part because you and I don't know the answers, and in some cases don't know the questions.
Yeah.
And also because we really do need multiple stakeholders and partners coming together on that.
If you're in the entrepreneurial game, and you're in real estate, and you have you take $150,000, $200,000, and you find someone who knows the neighborhood, you could scoop up 8, 10 properties in 10th and Page right now. And I can assure you, and you know this better than I do, this is already happening. We know this is happening. Someone is going to ride the coattails of Dairy Market and Dairy Central, and they're going to make bank there by just knocking stuff down and building stuff back up.
It's happened. Yes, it's happened in the last year. And I don't want to say that every time it happens it's bad, because I don't think that's true.
I think it's great.
I also don't believe that every time it happens it's good.
How so?
Because there's people involved in that process.
But they're making the decision to do that.
Yeah.
If they make the decision to do that, we can't feel bad.
And if they had a trusted counselor, they might have made a different decision.
Touché. But how should I feel bad for someone who chooses that path?
You should, because everything that an individual does in a housing market affects everybody in the market.
Maybe this shows Quinton and his character and integrity, and he's empathetic and sympathetic and has a good heart. Maybe it shows that I have a heart of coal. I do not feel bad for someone who makes the decision to sell their house.
We only were certain I had a heart with a chest X-ray that happened a few weeks ago.
Stop it! You have so many friends. Stop it! I would not feel bad, Quinton, and you said it 2 minutes ago perfectly. A lot of these homes are in disarray. Mm-hmm. You can, just from the eye test, and I love to do what you do, this here, just from the eye test, they're in disarray. If someone says, I'll take the $200K because I can't maintain the property, I don't feel bad.
Yeah. This is why you're not a realtor. So part of our responsibility as a realtor, our first responsibility is to the client, not the property. And so I think inherent, and I don't know that I could ever escape it, inherent in how we view things is what's going to happen to this person and what's next for them.
That person must know where they're going to move to and live, right? They have to know that before they choose to sell their house.
Because you've always made great decisions that have turned out exactly how you wanted them and predicted. And is your wife on?
My wife is watching.
Because I want her opinion on that. How often is Jerry make great, well-informed decisions of which you are proud?
She would say, please don't answer that, Mrs. Miller. James, New Hill might provide some positive opportunities, but a ton of chess pieces might need to move to make it a reality. He's talking about the New Hill Development Corporation and their focus on the Star Hill neighborhood. It's crazy, man. I think 2021, dude, is going to be a gangbusters year for you guys. If you can just get some stuff to sell.
I think every sign points towards it being as good a year.
Right?
Yeah.
The rates?
I think every sign points towards it being as good a year. We had more stimulus that passed. This is a good thing. We needed that. Lots of individuals.
You don't expect any more stimulus after this round?
What are we counting as this round? You mean before the new year?
I mean,
just Friday.
Right. This is the second round that they passed.
Ask me in February.
Oh, you think there's potential for a third round?
Ask me in February.
Okay.
I think there is potential for more. So I think that's a good thing. I think we are starting to see recovery in the economy. I think vaccines are rolling out, and that will help. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, but we're by no means at the end of the tunnel. On the other hand, I think people have found a renewed love for their homes and where they live, and have started to live a larger percentage of their life in their home than they used to.
But I think that's going to change.
Yeah.
I mean, people like you and me, dude, going freaking stir crazy.
A little bit, yes.
Right?
But I don't know that a lot of what I've developed at home I'm willing to give up in a heartbeat.
What? Working from home besides that?
Oh my gosh. I have an office at home that you could run a NASA mission out of, and I think that's great. I think lots of people that used to go to the gym will never go back.
Yeah, some of that.
I believe that jobs are going to continue to be at home. So there's going to be some push that direction. And I think in some ways, much as we've been forced to embrace technology that we didn't have to before, and then realized, hey, that's not such a bad idea, people have been forced to live in circumstances that they hadn't thought of before and realized, hey, that's not such a bad idea. And so there's going to be a broadening of choices, but that shift is not going to go away 100% just because COVID does.
Neil Williamson, what's up, buddy? He's watching. He's giving you props. Neil Williamson, I see a reporter from...
When I talk about people smarter than me, Neil's one of those guys.
Yeah, Neil's a smart guy. We love Neil on this network. Reporter from The Progress is watching you now, Quinton, and someone from NBC 29's on the show. Ray Cadell just sent us a picture of his backyard on Facebook Messenger. Can we get that on screen? Ray's giving us the green light to say, it's in my Facebook Messenger if you can get it. He says, Ray's backyard, tough to move. He's got a picture of the pool. Ray, is that in the Earlysville neighborhood? I think he lives in Earlysville.
Ray, mainly I see you smoking meats for dinner on
Drinking
Facebook.
good brown liquor.
Drinking good brown liquor. And we already have had a good time together, so I think we should do that again.
Yeah, I feel the same, dude. I think Ray's our kind of guy. How about this question for you here? You get that on screen, J-Dubs, so we can show Ray's backyard to people?
Because that's what Ray wants.
Yeah. Well, Ray wants people to see his pool. I mean, the dude's living the dream over here. How about this one? Jerry, ask Quinton if he ever thinks in-person open houses are going to come back after we get a vaccine.
I don't know that they've ever gone away. I think how we do them has changed.
A lot of your colleagues see it as kind of like a waste of time. Carsbrook, Ray says.
I don't know. AIDS is still around, but people have sex. Things come back. We figure out how to do these things. So I want to answer that question differently. Are virtual houses going to still be a thing? Absolutely, because we like the idea of being to tour multiple houses from home and rule some out so that we don't waste our entire Saturday walking through houses that are obvious no's. I don't think in-person open houses have ever completely died except for a really brief period. And I think in the end...
You're talking March, April, May.
Yeah. And I think that there are people doing them now that are just doing them very specifically...
More focused.
Restricted, more cautious.
Yeah.
Now, to be honest...
That's Ray Cadell's pool on screen, guys.
Ray.
Yeah, he's living the dream, dude. Amanda Spagoni is saying, you're on point. Great show right here. From Amanda
Thank you,
Spagoni.
Amanda. She has to say nice things about me. Her office, I know where her office is. I do think that there is a place for an open house. I think the vast majority of the time when we have an open house, it's not about selling that home.
What is it about? Just making contacts with people?
It's about meeting people and
seeing what else you can...
Open houses are about the process of buying and selling more than they are about the specific property most of the time.
Yeah, it's about the perception.
There's always one time that what I'm saying is wrong, much like using your house like a commodity. But
we agree to disagree on that one.
But that one time, the difference being I'm right.
We agree to disagree. We agree to disagree. You are not right on that. I've used my home as a commodity my entire life.
You have, but I would imagine that not many people want to grow up and be you.
That's fair. I think that's 100% true. I think that's 100% true, Quinton Beckham. Ray said, we freaking earned this home. I've definitely worked 2 full-time jobs, by the way. Yeah. Well said, Ray Cadell. People want knowledge on north of town. Any insight you can offer on is it Brook Hill? Is that what it is, north of town?
Oh, I think that should stay a secret.
Oh, come on.
We just had a holiday where people got to open presents. We have to save something.
Is it the Brook Hill? Anyone want to offer? We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that in the future, guys.
It deserves more time than we have left.
It's a mixed-use development. You have a busy day? I just looked at the clock for the first time. It's 11:15.
Keith's just texting me saying, "Shut up, shut up."
No, it's great. Why is he saying that? You're doing a great job.
Oh, I'm teasing. I threw him under the bus.
Okay. I was going to say, you're doing a fantastic job. All right, my friend. Anything else you want to, you got on your chest? Anything else on your mind? Feel good, huh? How about goals? Can I ask you goals as the president of CAR?
Oh, my goodness. A lot of it is a carryover from Tom.
Yeah?
So we still have a lot of education to give.
Props to Tom Woolfolk.
Oh, Tom and Teely before me, they both got handed presidencies that were completely different than what they expected. And to watch people pivot with grace and poise is something I aspire to be more like. So really big shoes to fill. We'll see how that goes. I think we're adjusting to what the new world's going to be like. I would love to raise more professionalism, more education. Real estate is a great industry because anybody can get in with the right drive.
Sure.
How we succeed and raise that standard of professionalism depends on how we interact as an association, the education we do, and the stage that we set where people can be their best human. And so I think Tom started that charge. You'll see that move forward. Also big in the coming year is getting the CAR Foundation up, running, and funded so that as we're talking about affordable housing, you're not just hearing the interesting opinion of one person in a great jacket. You're actually...
That's white. That's often white.
You're talking to people that have the ability to affect it, some funds to hand out, and can listen in a group and maybe take RFPs that help bring together a lot of the pillars of affordable housing, much like the Regional Housing Partnership does. So I think you'll see that come forward in the next year. And the other big task force work that we'll be doing has to do with diversity, social equity, and anti-racism. There's a group that we've gathered together for that. We'll be starting to meet with them in the new year and working on ourselves first. Make sure your own house is in order. That's a good idea. But working towards a lot of the diversity and racism issues that have been issues in this area for a long time, and seeing what we can't do to untangle that in terms of home ownership and how we represent people.
Dude, you're legit. You're legit. You're good people here. Stephen Allen, your guy on the Beckham Real Estate team. He said, "Great show as always." Georgia Lindsay, Ness Realty, I believe. She's Ness, right?
Yes,
She's
Georgia.
Ness?
I love Georgia too.
She says, "Be their best human," and gave you some heart emojis.
Aww.
That was good, Quinton. You're good in this. Keith said, "I'm straight up worried about losing my seat to Quinton Beckham on this show."
I'll tell you, so realtors that are listening, if you read the preamble to the Code of Ethics, it talks about what we do as a calling. And you have the opportunity to make this more than just a job.
Yeah.
And so I do believe in margins. I want to make money, but I think with that margin comes a mission.
Yeah.
And I hope that if you're on this and you're listening and you have an impact, that you can embrace that with us, because this is work that the association can do.
You know what that's called?
And do well.
It's a conscious capitalist. You can run a business in the black while leaving your footprint in a better place than when you first arrived.
I do believe it's possible to meet all your financial goals and not meet your mission. And so...
don't you? I mean, we can do that. We do that.
Yes, and I'm an old guy trying to generate enough good karma to get into heaven. So
stop it.
Gotta balance the books.
I see some wings over there.
Gotta balance the books.
I see some devil ears that got sawed off, and now we got some wings over here. Keith wants me to run the gauntlet with you. Should I run the gauntlet with you before we get out of here?
What gauntlet is that?
The gauntlet is when I pepper you with questions. You can't think about the answer, and you have to blurt out the first thing that comes to mind.
Can we do this like the Hitchhiker's Guide?
How so?
49.
49? Judah, okay, you ready for this? We're going to close with the gauntlet.
Go.
Are you ready?
Yes.
If when COVID is behind us and Quinton Beckham can saddle up to a bar for happy hour, where's he at?
Tavola.
Tavola?
Yes, the bar in the back.
Yeah, I love that bar in the back. Okay, the top 5 spots then, because you go to more than one bar.
Tavola, Aberdeen Barn.
Yeah.
Mangione's, because my favorite people own it.
Yeah, and she's watching right now.
She probably, I know
she's
her.
Watching right now.
She moved on to something else.
No, she's watching right now.
That's all I got.
Okay. If you have $200K and you want to get into real estate and make some money, where are you going to do it in Charlottesville?
Where am I going to do it in Charlottesville?
Flip a house.
Oh.
We talked about this already. You got limited options here.
You know, what's the name of the community just fell off my head. It's not a new subdivision, but it's right off of 20, and we worked with a really, really nice set of young ladies that flipped a house there earlier this year.
20 to Scottsville?
No.
20 north?
Yes.
Okay. 20 north.
I love that corridor.
Stony
going
Point?
Out there.
Stony Point?
No. I'll have to think more clearly. But it's the gauntlet. I don't have to have all the answers.
Yeah, no, you don't. You don't. Your favorite meal in Charlottesville?
My favorite meal?
Yeah.
It's the pork Milanese from Tavola.
Wow, dude. You like that one?
Yeah, I get it every time I go there.
Yeah.
I look at the specials because I think, well, I'll have something else this time, and then I don't.
Favorite? Keep going. Keep going.
In fact, I'll be there tomorrow night, and so I will encourage the people at the table with me to order other things that I want a bite of so that I can still have my favorite.
Quinton Beckham, dude, living the dream right now. Judah Wickhauer, like, that's smart, Judah said.
Yes, always come with people that will order different stuff. It's a big deal.
Barbara Luckard said Key West.
Key West, yes,
neighborhood.
Barbara, yes, thank you. That is exactly what
Key
I was
West
thinking
is a good
of.
neighborhood.
I love that neighborhood, and the bones of the houses there and the layouts and the lots are gorgeous and really easy to update. It's close into things, but you don't feel like you're in the middle of everything. You're also not driving 30 minutes to get into town.
What's your prediction for Southside Charlottesville in 2021?
I think it will do well as it always has. Now, there's no place that's going to do bad unless we set it up to do bad.
Which place does the best then?
Around here?
Yeah.
Look at everything that intersects between 250 and 29 and follow those. There's a hashtag now between how 2029, 250, the Parkway. When you look around those, there's good access to DC, there's good access to Injic and some of our other big employers, and yet you can get downtown well, and they have not become outrageously priced yet. And so I think there's some really great opportunities in there.
That's knowledge right there. Dude's dropping knowledge right there. Quinton, you crushed it. You're flawless, man. You're unruffled.
He's been drinking.
I have not, but the bottle is unopened. It is unopened.
It's not the only bottle. If I turn the camera.
I tried to open this morning with my friend Quinton Beckham. He said no. I tried. You're solid, dude. You're solid. You're excellent in this format. I wish you the best. We got to get you back on here. New Year's here for you?
Yes, staying in town.
Plans?
I have a list of housework to do, like you wouldn't believe. The amount of cardboard that has accumulated in my house from Amazon that will not fit into my recycling
Someone
can
call and
is
text
amazing.
Quinton and get this guy at New Year's. Come on, please.
I need to, my
call
friend,
and text your friend Quinton Beckham over here. Come on now. All right, we're out of here. Hey, great work. Seriously.
Thank you very much.
It was very fun.
And thank you, everybody, for listening.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Judah Wickhauer, Quinton Beckham, Jerry Miller, Real Talk, presented by the Yes Team Realtors. We're off on Friday and back in the saddle with Keith on Tuesday, which is the 5th. Gosh, Happy New Year, everyone. Take care. Quinton.
Thank you very much.
Nicely done. Thank you. Bel Air.